Action.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
We changed it. Leah's a kung fu champion.
I'm changing career path.
Judo chop. Right.
I'm over bodybuilding.
Action. Yeah, we're
starting
over bodybuilding.
jiu-jitsu.
We're over bodybuilding until next year now. Now we just go gym. We go gym, eat off and go to bed. That's what bodybuilding is, you know.
I might start CrossFit.
Yeah, someone said that to me the other day.
I think a lot of people do that post-show. They're like, or not post-show, but just generally.
Post-bodybuilding.
Yeah, they go on to like, because you need something, don't they? A lot of people go on to CrossFit.
Yeah, I'm actually starting looking at, I said this, well, I just started telling you earlier, but I didn't really finish. Because I've got such a broken body. Like, I've got so much fucking that just fights. Basically, there's a lot of stuff like wrong, and I just built a massive, giant, huge amount of muscle on the top of it for years. And it was very misfunctional. I've got a lot of stuff that was wrong from when I was young, from when I had karate, when I was like a child and all that, like some like problems. I just built a massive amount of muscle on top of it, and I've never been able to properly address it. So now I'm smaller. I'm going to actually go see somebody. There's a guy that I found out about near us that's meant to be really good, and just start from square one with someone. Because I can do this stuff myself and research it, but you never end up implementing all of it, and you don't know if I feel like I need someone who specialises in that to just get hold of me. Say, this is what you're doing. Go see him probably once or twice a week. We're going to do this, and then they just build you back to normal. Because I can't do things like, I can't squat because I can't get my hands back on the bar anymore.
So is he like, what's he specialising in? Like mobility type stuff then? Or?
Yeah, I think he does a bit of everything. I think he's like a strength conditioning, mobility, rehabilitation.
Right.
He works with, I haven't met him yet. I'm going to go see him, but he works with a lot of, there's like a guy who lives near to us who's like a, what do they call it? Like BJJ or whatever they call it, like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's like one of the top people in that. It's meant to be really, really good. This guy trains him. Then I've seen him with like, there's a boxer who lives near us as well, who's like, he's the Olympic champion and stuff like that. I've seen him on there. So he works with some good people by the looks of it. And I always assumed that I'd got so big and not my mobility had suffered that I couldn't do things. But then I've got small now and I've still got exactly the same issues. Yeah. And I still can't do a lot of it. Like I can't get into a squat because I can't get my hands on the back. So my mobility is so shit
like
in my shoulders, like the rotation and all stuff like that. I just need pulling back to square one.
It'd be cool to see what he does, like what sort of
stuff.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it.
It's quite good to like learn about that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because I'm not bodybuilding now. The bodybuilding training's all right when I go and do it, but it's difficult to get into because I'm not trying to do anything with it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Whereas, I mean, I've said this before, but when you've trained for that long and every minute of every day and every thought's consumed with getting bigger. Yeah. Now it's just like, it's what not boring, but it's like, so I fancy like, and I read that was spit. I read something the other week and it said, every man should be hard to kill. And I thought, that's cool. No, not that hard to kill. Every man should be able to save his own life. And I thought, yeah, every man should be able to save his own life. And I mean like run, jump over stuff, swim,
like functional stuff.
Yeah, do you know, like that? And I thought, I can't run. I would be worried. I'd be worried jumping over a wall in case I tore something off because everything feels so vulnerable and like not like it doesn't work properly. What you're saying, I can't swim because I've got such like bad shoulders from all the years and all the rest of it. I can swim, but I can.
Yeah, I get
do you know
what
what I mean? I won't be able to just swim lengths, which I'd love to be able to do. So I kind of like the thought of being able to run, to jump over stuff, do some like plyometric type stuff and things like that. Being able to go swimming a couple of times a week, still do bodybuilding training on top of it, but just like for the way I look a little bit, and just have a broader range of everything. Yeah. Like I want to be able to run. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things like that. So I'm gonna try and get into a little bit. Like, don't quote me on it though, because I might get there.
But updates pending.
I might get back and think, fuck this is bollocks, and then just end up going back to bodybuilding like I always do.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of bodybuilders though would do a similar sort of thing after they like stop like competitive bodybuilding, because obviously when you're bodybuilding you're prepping, like you're not really fit. Well, you're fit from your cardio, but you're not like life fit, are you? You know what I mean?
And I assumed, because I was like 22 and a half stone, right?
Yeah.
I assumed that I was so unfit in life to life because I was 22 and a half stone. I'm only 18 stone now.
Yeah.
And I'm still not that fit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a hell of a lot fitter than I was. I can run up the road now, which I definitely couldn't do before. But I'm not fit. Do you know what I mean? So I'd like to be lighter. I'd like to be lighter than I am. Yeah. So bodybuilding training is not that conducive for that either.
Yeah.
If I could be like, I'd love to be like 16 and a half stone, be able to run for quite a bit.
Yeah.
But still look good. Like
look like athletic. And
yeah,
fit.
look like more athletic. Yeah, do you know what I
you.
mean? Because I'll never be able to get rid of all my muscle. Do you know what I mean? It'll be impossible because it just don't go. If you train, it just don't go.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I've said before, I'll never use steroids again or anything like that. So anyway, that was my little thing that I'm looking at.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm buzzing. So if you see me like doing the hurdles or something like that, you might
running a marathon.
You'll pull up in the car park one day and I'll just be doing hurdles over the. You're like, what's he doing? Just practicing. I've got to try to save my own life. Yeah, I read that every man should be able to save his own life, and I thought, yeah,
I fancy that.
Yeah, because I thought if I get dropped in the sea for whatever reason, I won't be lasting that long. I'll be sinking after 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
Hopefully, you
I
don't
just
get
have to
dropped
lay
in
on
the
my
sea.
back and hope that I don't sink. So yeah,
that's exciting.
A bit of a mad one, but it really triggered that as well. Yeah, and obviously, I want to be fitter as well. I'm getting towards my late 30s now. It's 37, late 30s. I think it probably is.
Mid-30s.
Yeah, mid-30s, isn't it? Next year I'll be late 30s because I'll be 38. So I want to be fitter in that as well.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Yeah.
So fitter, smaller, faster, cooler.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about, not just going to talk about that shit today. That's bored everyone to death. But we're going to talk about post-show stuff, yeah?
Yeah, I'm excited for this because I feel like it's a hot topic.
It's a hot topic. It's been a hot topic for a few years.
And it's relevant.
It never stops being relevant because people never stop competing to stop being post-show. So it's always thingy. It's always going to be happening.
Yeah.
In the same way that
we're in the thick of it.
Funeral parlours will never be out of business because people are always dying. Post-show will never be irrelevant because people are always competing. So we're going to talk about that. And I think so you've obviously got a good bit of experience with your own post-shows and multiple man sets coming out of the shows, of the different shows that you've done as well, because not everyone's the same. I have obviously prepped hundreds and hundreds of people and came away from shows with them afterwards. And what we will start by saying with this, because I think when you read on Instagram, there's so like, that you should do this, you should do that, you have
people
to do this.
People preach a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they fucking do. And half of them don't even know what they're on about half the time anyway. I just read it and I think, shut up, do you know what I mean? There's only a handful of people that I probably listen to, but then on the other hand, everyone's opinion's valid as well because everyone's got their own experience. Being honest, joking aside, but a lot of what we're probably going to say might be quite contradictory to what we're saying 5 minutes ago because there's so many different ways and so many different approaches, and I don't think there's no rights or wrongs. There's just a bit of like a large grey area that we need to travel through to get to a certain point. And everybody's different. So you might have someone coming out of a show. Like I could lay down 20 of my clients now that have come out at the back end of these shows. And every one of them's doing things like a little... Well, not every one of them. There'll be a few outliers that are really going in different directions with the way they're doing the reverse. For me as a coach, I've got to treat them all differently. I've got one client, for example... I won't bring no names into it, obviously, because they might not want me to. But I've got one client, for example, who I'm having to bring out of it very, very slowly. Because a brain won't accept that we need...
Right, yeah.
It needs time for a brain to accept that we want... Obviously, we need to get... I mean, she's peeled out of a fucking man, and she probably will be for the next few weeks until after Christmas. But her brain won't compute with... We need to go back up.
Right,
so, for what we're trying to do when we're getting people after the show, right, and we'll talk about women specifically, because that's what I deal with, and that's what you are.
Thank you.
And it's a different thing to men as well, really. But like we said in the last episode, we're just trying to get the health back. That's the main thing that we're looking at.
Get the health back with the least amount of mental, detrimental...
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
So we're trying to get the health back to where it wants to be. Period back, hormonal, everything like that. Get the thyroid back to where it should be, which obviously means increasing body fat. Bringing that back at a decent enough pace to get it back as quickly as possible without being detrimental to the off-season further down the line. So, excuse me, again, Diet Coke. So what we've got to bear in mind is when we're coming away from the show, we've got another show which might be 12, hopefully 18 months later.
Yeah.
So if your body fat comes up way too quickly because you're going a mad one binging, you're going to offset your off-season quite a lot because you're going to have to cut that off again further down the line at some point, which might take away a good chunk of your off-season and make you have to set it out in a way that is not favourable to what you want to do in 18 months' time or 12 months' time, whatever it might be. Right, I forgot what I was talking about now. So don't want to put the body fat on too quick. We need to get the hormones back to where it needs to be. And we need to get you to a point where we're leading off into the off-season nicely, food nice and high, without the body fat going up too quickly, whilst also keeping everything mentally intact. So that's different for everybody.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with post-show is being able to actually stick to some sort of plan and not just going on a free-for-all mad one, because I think that's when people really struggle.
Yeah.
When they're struggling to stick to the plan, because then the body fat comes up very quick, your head goes, and you've lost all sort of structure.
Yeah.
And then you're in a position where you're a lot heavier than you want to be, but you can't diet because your health's not back in a good spot.
Yeah.
So it's like finding the best way for you to be able to stick to a plan, whether that be building your food up slower or going straight up or having a couple of days off the plan or having a couple of weeks off the plan. It's like finding...
And for people that don't know this, if once you've just done a 20-week prep, 22-week prep, if you've done qualifiers and finals, 25, whatever it might be dragged out to, you've been down. Your body's like somewhere where it doesn't want to be for quite a long period of time. You can't just slam 15 kilos back on and then think, I'll just jump back on a diet and get that off.
6 weeks later.
6 weeks later, 8 weeks later, your body's just going to go, and no matter what your health markers are saying, by the way, in general, your body's just going to go, no, you're mad. You've just been trying to starve us for a year. We think we're going to fall for that again. We're not stupid. In a layman's term, that's what happens. You're going to need to be sat in a surplus for quite a long period of time before your body even, and again, this is irrespective of health markers, before it even gives a response. 9 times out of 10, people might be able to diet and take a little bit off, but generally, women, from what I've dealt with, you're going to be waiting for a good few months before you. So what you don't want to be doing. And this is what we're trying to avoid, because this is what everyone used to do back in the day, and this is what fucked a lot of people's heads up and dragged them away from the sport because they were unhappy. Going just binging for 2, 3, 4 weeks straight, whatever, going on a mad one, gaining 20 kilo with no real base of a diet in place. So then you loads of body weight up. Then from that point, all you can really do is carry on pushing up.
And then you end up getting more body fat, which makes people feel more uncomfortable.
Because then you have to gain more body fat to get your food up more, to get your body sat in a comfortable place for long enough to be able to diet again. And then you've got to come all the way back through them kilos.
Yeah.
Basically, in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to avoid. So we're trying to get your health back without causing all that excess body fat that you've then got to diet back through 6 months later, which might take long. Because if you've got to take off like 15 kilos to get back to an acceptable spot, that's a lot of dieting.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a lot of dieting. It's like generally at least 15 weeks dieting if you want to take 15 kilos off. And the numbers are, what's the word? Like the numbers are irrelevant. You know what I mean? That might not be 15 kilo. It might be 15 kilo, whatever. But I have seen that. I've seen people go crazy and gain 20, 30 kilo after a show.
Yeah, because like if I just ate what I wanted after a show, I reckon I could I can eat a lot of food.
You like eating, yeah.
I like food, to put it lightly. I could easily whack on like, I reckon a good 10 kilos in a
couple of weeks, probably
2 or 3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, I'd think so. Yeah, because that's only a stone and a half. Do you know what
I
mean? You could easily get through that. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get health back in place without gaining shit tons of unnecessary weight and keep you mentally stable at the same time.
Yeah.
So then your health's back, your off season in an okay place to set off in, and you're happy-ish.
Yeah, and that's going to look different for everyone in terms of how fast they can do it or mentally how they deal with gaining weight, because a lot of girls after they've competed are like petrified of, especially when it's your first time, of like weight gain, because you think, oh, I've worked so hard to get all this weight off and now it's just going to all go back on again.
Yeah, and it comes on so quickly compared to the way it went off.
It does.
So then you're going to have a broad spectrum of people, and people who are watching this might sit somewhere in the middle. So you've got some, like I've just talked about, one of my clients who she's this girl that I'm talking about in specific, and I've had a bunch of clients like this, is an absolute robot. Like, she just fucking loves dieting anyway. She loves it. I've never seen her suffering once when she's dieting. She's the happiest dieter I've ever seen in my life. But she just wants to come up pound by pound by pound by pound, very slowly. And although that's not the best thing for a body, that's definitely the best thing for a mind, because that's making her anxious as fuck. Opposite end of the scale, and this is the very opposite end of the scale, I've got some clients that just they don't give that much of a fuck. So they'll get the plan. They'll fall off 3, 4, 5 times a week. And they'll just take it. Do you know what I mean? And they'll say like, look, this is the way I am, and they might be up X amount of kilos over the first month, and then they just say, I'll take care of it further down the line. I've got clients who are very good competitors, by the way. One that I'm thinking of specific when I'm talking about it. we'll take that and they'll just take care of it further
Yeah.
down, and that's what we've done. Everyone else kind of sits in the middle,
Yeah,
and that's
like
where we
a
kind of
middle
really
ground.
want people sat somewhere in the middle. So my approach generally post show, if we're talking about the masses and not either end of the spectrum, I like to get the calories up quite quick. I don't like to be too responsive, too restrictive with it.
Yeah.
Because for me, as a whole, and again, there's outliers to all situations. As a whole, if you're too restrictive, they'll just fall off plan.
Yeah, this is the thing, like, you need, because your appetite's through the roof, right, after you've done dieting, and in your head, you're like, and people will get this if they've competed before, it's like, oh, well, I need to stick to my plan, but why can I not have that? I've just been dieting for like 25 weeks. Why should I not have that meal with my family or go out?
First timers make this mistake a lot.
Yeah.
And they generally, like, obviously they regret it further down the line and they learn for the next prep.
Yeah.
It's like justification, like,
Yeah.
well, I deserve it. So I'll always tell people to try and think of the prep 3 weeks longer than it actually is.
Yeah, that helped me loads when you said that to me last time, because I never thought about that before. I was like, oh, I'm done prep, great.
Yeah, no.
Do what you want. But actually,
just view it as a weigh in and then a little dip out, and then once we get you to that bit.
Yeah.
So I won't put, and I always say this officially, put off-plan meals on people's reverse diets until like 3 weeks post-show generally. Just because I don't want to be the one to say go and eat X amount of calories on an off-plan meal and that sets someone a mad binge for days.
Yeah, because when you're hungry and you're like...
Don't get me wrong, if they say, look, Dan, my family's booked me this out, I'm going to go do this, I'll be like, all right, just be careful, do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to be the one to put that on the plan, so they go and do it. So usually, like you've just said, hunger. No matter how much you eat, that hunger's not actually going away anyway, regardless of if you're eating 1,000 or 5,000 calories, the hunger's still going to be present in it. But we want to offset that somewhere in the middle. So I will try my best to get food up quite high, quite quick. And I'm not talking crazy high, but enough to keep someone semi-satiated.
Stop someone going around the bend.
Stops them going around the bend. Where we can put back end some of the food so it's a bit heavier at the end of the day with oats or something like that. So they've got something on a night time. Because that's usually when people get bored and hungry. That
normally works quite well because that's when people stop picking, I think.
Yeah, so if you can put a big old chunk of oats in on the last meal, that's usually quite helpful to plug the gap a little bit until the next day. What I'm trying to do with that is I'm trying to see the body weight come up, but under our own control.
Yeah, not on a mad one where people lose control and they're just eating.
And again, we can't put numbers on that because I'll do the same things with different people, and some people might come up 0.8 of a kilo a week, something crazy, and some people are bopping up a kilo and a half, 2 kilos a week doing the same thing. But that's different people. You're not going to really control that. You've just got to put the plans and processes in place to get the best out of it that you can. Yeah. So that's generally what I'll do with people reversing. And then once we get 3 weeks post-show, then the hunger starts to die down a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit of body fat on, so they're feeling a little bit better. Then we're going to start putting off-plan meals in officially every week because if you put them in early, like we've just said, it'll just set you off on a mad one.
Yeah.
So we'll put them in officially 3 weeks post-show so they can have what they want there. And like I say, people do have... And this, by the way, it's rarely perfect. It's rarely...
I don't think anyone's post-show
I don't
is
expect
perfect.
it to be perfect. I'm surprised when it is.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? If I don't get a message or something saying, Dan, I've fucked it, off people, like, I'd be surprised, you know what I mean? And usually when they say they fucked it, they'll be like, I just had 5 rice cakes because I was so hungry. And I'm thinking in my head, good.
Yeah.
Because that 5 rice cakes, if I'd have kept your food too low, would have been 5 pizzas.
Yeah.
And would have been having a different conversation. Yeah. So when they're saying that to me, that's actually good feedback because they're not going on a mad binge.
Yeah.
And it'll be usually just stuff like that. I had to have an extra bowl of oats. I had to have this. I had to have that. That's how I know I've done my job good.
Yeah.
Because that's all that I'm getting back. Whereas if I'm getting people like, they'll just go missing for 3 days.
Yeah.
And they'll find them in Frankie and Benny's, like in a corner stuff. Like that's when you know you've kind of fucked it.
That's the thing. I think it's like, I think that really helped me a lot as well. Like if I'm really struggling, because like I'll have done this before as well, like just having something that's already in your meals. Yeah. Rather than just going on a mad one and thinking, like, I'll just go and eat whatever, which is what I did after my first show.
As soon as you taste that cookie or that
there's
pizza,
no stopping anyone.
That light goes off, it's bang, 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 and then you're in that direction.
Yeah.
Which is why I keep the off-plan meals out, which it sounds harsh. You're not letting them having a cheat meal for 3 weeks after the show. Well, they've had usually a couple of days off after the show. Yeah. So obviously they have the night of the show, usually the day after, and maybe a little bit the day after. Then they've got the reverse plan, which is set quite high. So they can try and stay on that. Generally, they'll have a family occasion or something where they're out within a week or two after the show anyway. But like I said, I don't officially put it on. Then 3 weeks later, we're there. So that's usually how I skate people away. If you go crazy too high with the food, obviously you're going to get the same response.
Yeah.
It's going to be too much. If you try and keep it too low, that's stupid because what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, what you're trying to achieve.
And everyone's going to lose their head at some point if they're trying to keep
going to lose their head, and they're going to end up worse off. You might as well have put them on 5,000 calories a day than keep them on 1,300 calories a day, because like it's going to lead to the same outcome. Do you know what I mean? So somewhere in the middle is always good. And then like, just don't beat yourself up if you come off plan. Like, just get back on it. I'll be like, Sound, just get back on it. Sound, just get back on it. Just keep getting back on the horse, because if you think you've fucked it and then just end up going eating everything in sight, then you have fucked it. It's not. Yeah. People have got that like all or nothing mindset, which is great in bodybuilding. Loads of people
have that though, don't they?
But yeah, once they've slipped up a bit, they just go on full self-sabotage mode. But yeah, that's what your coach is there for, to reach out for and say it. And I had it this morning. Somebody just randomly checked in that weren't meant to check in. It was like, I need a midweek check-in because I've done this, this, and this. This is someone who competed, obviously, at the World Championships. And she thought it was really bad. And I was like, don't worry, that's okay. That's not that bad. Just, you've learned what you've done there, blah, blah, blah. Just try to do whatever. Just don't do that again, because that was...
Yeah, and also, you learn so much. Like, I feel like... I've done, like we said at the start, I've done completely different things every time. And it's like, you look at something and you're like, oh, actually, that didn't work too good, or that wasn't a very good idea, or I'll do that next time.
Well, it's one of them, innit? If you've been rallying around a fucking driving rally course, like, you learn where all the dips and the trees are and what to every time to duck. So every time you do a prep and come out of it, you think, oh, I won't do that again, because that bashed me last time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, there's so much pressure on it, so much... Like, people like feel like they're being shamed into not perfectly sticking to the reverse. Yeah. I'm telling you now, even the people that you follow on Instagram, 95% of them are full of shit. They're just full of shit. Yeah. They're doing all sorts behind closed doors. And over the years, obviously, I know that because I worked with so many people and I've seen their Instagrams as well. So I'll see what they're saying compared to the reality a lot of the time, or I'll coach one of their mates and they're posting that and I read the post and I think, well, that's not what's happening. So don't let Instagram fool you, because that's full of shit. And just try and bounce through. As long as you're not going mental and going on a binge for 3 weeks, you'll be all right. Just stick somewhere near your plan. Make sure you've got a decent amount of calories on it. If you don't think it's enough, tell your coach anyways, listen, I'm absolutely fucking ravenous and this is what I'll get. I'm ravenous and it's happening at this point of day.
Yeah, and then you can mitigate it.
There's a load of fucking food to eat at that time of day. That's stodgy as fuck. That's going to sit. Do you know what I mean?
Because at the end of the day, if you're worried about putting your food up, but you add in an extra, let's say, 600 calories, right? It's quite a lot of food. Like, but you can get a lot of food for 600 calories. Yeah. But if that's going to stop you going and eating an extra 3,000 calories, which is quite easily done in a pizza and a dessert.
What's 600 calories in pizza? It's not even half a pizza, is it?
What's Domino's? Like over 2,000 calories per pizza?
Yes. I don't know how they get much that calories per square inch, to be fair. But it's over 2,000, I think, plus the dips and this and that. Blah, 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 and chocolate and whatever. You're easy in for 4,000 calories. So what's worse? Like, restricting and having 4,000 calories, and that'll lead on to the next day as well. It won't stop there. Or plugging them full of oats and potatoes and things that like are just gonna...
That's just satiating foods.
Yeah, satiating foods. Yeah. So yeah, I'll always do that. And it's always at the end of the day, and I'm struggling at the end of the day. I'm like sticking over 100 grams of oats in there.
Yeah, and I think once you've got your oats and you've got a bit of fats in the evening, like
put some peanut butter in it, some bit of chocolate and whatever.
That sorts you out, doesn't it?
It sorts you out, and that's generally it. And I've just done it so many times now. I give them the right act before it, especially first timers. I'll say, you're going to feel like this, you're going to feel like that, you're going to feel like this. And they go, right, and they're still not ready for it, even though they think they are. And then, I don't really see any fucked reverses anymore now from my clients. Like, you'll get the odd one that goes off the rails, but they're just choosing to go off the rails, and then they don't come back to bodybuilding just because they think, I hate doing that again. But you're talking like 1 in 50 or something like that. You're not talking like very often at all. I think I've seen that happen to one of my clients in the last 2 years. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You know what I think really helps as well? Like, knowing that you're still going to be hungry and preppy. Because I think when I first prepped the first time, I had this expectation in my head that like I was going to finish prep and then I'd like feel normal again and I'd like not be hungry. And I was like trying to eat to stop myself being hungry, which is obviously like never going to happen, is it? No. So it's like now knowing that, okay, I just need to stick to this for like a few weeks and then I won't be as hungry anymore and it'll be okay. It's like knowing that it will settle down.
Yeah, it will settle, and it's usually in that 3 to 4 week mark. Yeah, you're always hungry, but not that type of hungry.
Not to the point where you feel like you're opening the kitchen, coming and staring at all the food, hungry.
9 times out of 10, it's in that between 3 and 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Like if it's going on for longer than 5 weeks, then that's not that common. But again, it will stop. Do you know what I mean? It will stop. But that crazy, ravenous, bottomless pit, like just insatiable feeling, it's always in that 3 to 5 weeks, usually 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Back.
So if you can just ride that out and like stick to your plan as best you can.
Yeah, as best you can. And then it's all right. And you might be one of them people that gains 4 kilos in that time. Good for you. You might be one of them people that gains 10 kilos in that time. But either way, if you've done that, it'll be nowhere near as bad as what it would have been if you've gone on a mad one. Even if you're somebody that's gone up 10, 12 kilo, in a few weeks. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you'd done the other route, you'd have been up 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And also, at least if you've kind of followed your plans as best you can and you gain X amount of weight, at least your food's nice and high.
Yeah.
So you're eating maybe, 3,000, going on 3,000 calories a day? I'm guessing for most people.
And that's the point. So then wherever you're at from that point, that's when your off season really starts to begin. Because for me, I don't give, what do you call it? I don't let people train to failure until 3 or 4 weeks post show. A lot of them are still running reduced volume or whatever. I generally don't give new training plans until 4 weeks post show, which for me, people might think, oh, well, I need some new stimulation. Like, I used to do that, give people new training plans straight out the back of a show. But what do?
Get excited and go mad.
Get overexcited, go to the gym and go fucking mental. So that never is a good idea, in my opinion. Even though your training that you've got might be a little bit boring, I'd rather somebody be a little bit like that for a few weeks. And then when they get to 3 weeks, give them a new training plan. So 3 weeks post-show, let them break themselves in for a week a little bit with the movements and all the rest of it. And then boom. So everything's kind of set out, structured on purpose, the way I kind of do it.
Yeah.
So then as soon as you're at that 4 week out point, your fuel should be at nice and high anyways. Your body fat ain't gone absolutely crazy or as crazy as it could have done. And then you're setting off into your off season. Get your blood works done between 4 and 6 weeks, somewhere around there, usually is what I like to do. See if there's anything we're correct that might need correcting through supplementation or generally just time. Just time solves everything generally. Do you know what I mean?
Like good sleep, bit more food, bit
and,
of rest.
and just a few more weeks recovery from being at the show. Do you know what I mean? It's not like not all robots. You're not be like, well, you're a human, so you're going to recover 4 to 6 weeks post show. But some girls that the thyroid, even though they've not used any thyroid drugs or anything like that, that's still recovering for some of them 3 months after the show. Yeah. It's rare, but I have got clients that do that. Do you know what I mean? So we'll put everything in place that we need to try and sort all that out, and that's another story. But that's the crux of post show, basically. And like we say, it's a grey area because not everybody's going to be the same.
Yeah. What do you do? So obviously there's a lot of girls post-show that will struggle with, like, I get loads of messages about binging, can't stop eating, like I just like can't stop eating chocolate, can't stop eating all this food. What would you do with someone? Because I've got some like stuff what helps me, but what would you, if you've got a client that's like, I can't stop eating shit basically? Do you ever get that with clients where they're like just binging on like load of rubbish?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not so much because of all them things that I've put in place with the higher food and the warnings and all the rest of it. And I think like you just got to put in what you can to keep them full and keep them occupied and try and keep them on track. But some people, no matter what they do, I think they want to do that. Yeah. They want to do it. And if they want to do it, it's like anything in it. Yeah. They want to do it and they're going to do it, and you've just got to take care of it further down the line. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I've had clients that have done that, or not as bad as what I was saying where they're binging all day every day, but they'll just go on mad ones quite a lot, and they do gain quite a lot of weight. Yeah. And I'll just say, look, it's all right. We'll just take care of it further down the line. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. What are you going to do? Binge and purge and whatever the rest of it and whatever it's called, where you'll just like go real restrictive because you've been eating too much and then like go on a mad one.
It's like a binge restrict cycle, isn't
it? Just let it calm down because it will calm down, and you might be going through some shit whilst you're going through it, but there's obviously no other choice if that's the way your brain's like taking you. And it's not with everybody, but it does happen, and they might gain a bunch of weight. Listen, it's not permanent vandalisation. You're not breaking anything with your body. That's what I mean. It's not permanent. It'll come off. Yeah. It just means more work and a longer period between the shows. That's all, more than likely. Yeah. But if you've gone up X amount of kilos, we've got to let your body settle down. We'll push your food up. You're going to be uncomfortable for a while. Yeah. Because we're pushing your food up whilst you've already got quite a lot of extra body fat on. So your body fat's probably going to go up some more, probably. And then once we've set up, I get so many girls that come to me, Leah, that are fucking just broken. And then we have to go through this shit. And I really respect them for what they go through when they do it. So they'll come and they'll be like, they'll have been with some fucking mad person who's been telling them what to do or whatever, and they've been on 800 calories for 6 months,
Right, yeah.
and they've been doing 2 hours cardio for 3 months, and they've had them on this and they've had them on that, and they're doing this, and this is not even generally competitors. Sometimes this is people for photo shoots and shit.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll get on a call and whatever, and I'll say, this is what's going to happen next. If you want to fix this, this is generally what's going to come next. Because as soon as this stops, which you've already started doing, you're binging like crazy and you can't stop. There's not always everything we can do about that. You're a bit fucked.
It just takes a lot of time, doesn't it?
And it takes some time.
This is literally the position I was in before I came to you with all the work I had to do.
It's the same. And the position that you was in when you went to Danny and got sorted, I get clients like that. And I say, we're going to have to go through probably a year and was it about that for you, yeah?
Yeah, it was, it must have been maybe a bit longer, maybe.
Yeah, usually getting on for a year of being fat. Do you know what I mean? So you've got some fat on, you're binging, but we've got to wait for all that to stop, and then we're going to have to keep pushing your food.
Yeah, because the only way that's going to go is to build the food up.
Yeah, we're going to push your food and push your food and push your food. And do you know what? I've got so much respect for the girls that go through it, because they're not comfortable, and I'm watching them, they're not happy and they're not comfortable, but they've got respect for the process and they believe what I'm telling them. And they go through it, and then we'll get to the end of that full year or whatever it might be. I'm not saying that that's a definite time frame, but
rough.
Generally, do you know what I mean? And they've got a bunch of extra weight on, and then I say, now we're going to have to go in the other direction, and it won't be a mini cut because you're carrying so much. We're going to have to go right through all of it, and it might be 16 weeks of a proper diet, and then we'll get all the way back to somewhere where you need to be, and then we can stop you there because it won't be a crazy like we haven't done anything crazy to get there. It's just chilling, calories in the right place, cardio's fairly chilled. We're not doing like all fat bends and shit like that. We'll get them down to where they need to be, and then we can start building you again from there. So the recovery from that is quite long. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I've got competitors like that who have come to me that have been broken like that on preps. And I've got people, a handful of people that I've had over the years that have just come from like doing photo shoots and shit.
Yeah.
And they're in that position. And
I think though a lot of the time, lifestyle clients struggle with the relationship with food side of things a lot more than people like the bodybuilders. Yeah,
probably so. Or they'll have had like, or they'll been running to the ground competing all year, every year for like 3 years, 2 years and stuff like that. They'll have done like beginning to end. And that's sometimes, I don't really want to say it, but like sometimes if you've got someone, you'll sometimes get coaches that just do that to people because they want to keep winning trophies for themselves. And I really hate it, to be honest. And I see it sometimes, and I sometimes get them clients that come to the back of me off of it, and they've got someone who's got good genetics or potential and all the rest of it, and they're just rinsing them through shows, and it's horrible to see, because then they're fucked.
Yeah, and there's only so much someone can
like
push,
how many years are you going to compete back to back and all year and all the rest of it before you're just fucked?
Yeah.
Then how long is your recovery going to be after that?
Yeah.
To be able to get back on stage again, really a long time in it.
Yeah.
So not a fan of that, and I do get some clients of them that need fixing a little bit. I've got to go through all that stuff. That was a little bit of a tangent, I suppose, from what we was talking about. From a
helpful tangent.
Yeah, probably a helpful tangent. Yeah, because I suppose, and I don't really think of it like this, but I suppose not everybody gets this insight to what I get coming through my inbox.
Yeah.
And the conversations that I have to have with people and things that we're fixing, you'll get it probably as well, but the things that we're fixing behind closed doors that nobody really speaks about, and the negative side effects mentally and physically that comes with it to get them back to a right place.
Yeah, because gaining weight, like that's what a lot of people struggle with, I think, isn't it? It's like when they've gone through that, it's then that like mental side of weight gain. It's hard.
I feel sorry for a man that they've got to go through being that out of shape for that long to get back to where they need to be, to get back to a point which is good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't ever need to be like that. Yeah. Like it doesn't ever need to be like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just need to, and if you're planning competing and things like that, be strategic about what you're doing, especially as a female. Like competing year after year after year after year, like 12 months apart or even 6 months apart. Not ideal. Do you know what I mean?
At some point, you just need a good solid.
Yeah, you need
stint of
ideally 18 months between shows, really. And I know things get. I mean, like obviously we did it. You didn't. We competed at the British, and then we went straight into the university. Like let's call it 6 months later, because whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Basically, 2 back-to-back preps.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back preps. That was. And sometimes you can kind of get away with that, all right, because you know you're going to then take some time after, which we did. We had 18 months between shows after that.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you're setting out your competing career, try not to get too eager with how frequently to compete, because you've got a lot more to take into account. I'd say a lot more than what lads have to take into account.
Yeah.
Because they're not really recovering anything, because they don't really come off. They don't really come off
Yeah.
their hormones are not real anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because they generally don't come off the ship. Different for natural lads, I'm sure. But you've got a lot more to consider as a female.
Got to think like longevity with it, haven't you?
Yeah, and even if you are responding still, like how long your hormones shut down for, you need to like think about all that. I mean, it's rare that it would never not come back to life further down the line, but like, do you want to be shutting yourself down for that long period?
And also, you know what I think helps if you get a good solid off season in and you're like your appetite stabilizes and like you're enjoying your food and you feel like full, you're so much more ready then to prep mentally. Versus like going into a prep being like, actually, I'm still pretty hungry and like I don't know if I'm feeling ready.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can like build your food up, get your food really high, you know, you feel so much better going into a prep.
Yeah, and obviously it gives you a chance to refresh through the year and pull bits of fat off, so you're constantly putting yourself nearer to a better point to start. Because if you can start your prep with like 11 or 12 kilos to come off and your food in a good place and you've been doing no cardio and like, that's going to be a good prep.
Yeah, that's why the reverse is so important though, because if you can
the prep feeds into the reverse and the reverse feeds into the prep, and it's the same type of thing. So if you know you've lined yourself up for a prep like that, then you're going to have a good reverse as well. Yeah. Because if you've only had like 10 or 11 kilos to come through to get in shape, as opposed to 20 to 25, like, because if that's coming down, it's going to be more likely to go back up badly after the show. Whereas if you come down just a bit because you've spent longer getting ready and your hormones are in a good place and all the rest of it, you're going to have a good exit as well, which then leads to a better prep further down the line. So, like, I don't know if I said this to you on some episodes before, but I'm always, even with clients that I'm just taking on now, I'm already thinking, like, I've got clients that I'm taking on now in the last couple of weeks that I'm already thinking about their reverse in 2025. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because they're not competing until early 2025. I'm already lining everything up now so that they're having a good time.
Yeah, so they're set up for it.
That's my responsibility. Yeah. They don't know. That's why they're coming to me.
Yeah.
That's on my responsibility. And it's very easy to get led down a garden path with people. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, and me be like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? When I know that that's not going to be a good outcome for them.
Yeah.
And I have to tell them.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't like it.
Yeah.
But I have to tell them the truth.
Yeah, 100%.
Because otherwise I've got to sleep all night, haven't I?
Yeah. True.
But yeah, so I mean, your competing journey as a female is necessarily not overly long anyway. Generally, people are a few years competing, and it's a lot less long if you fuck it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that leave bodybuilding like, fuck that, it's bad for you, this, blah, 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 blah. Which I'm not saying it's great.
That was me after the first show. I was like, I'm never doing that again. A load of rubbish.
Yeah, and it took you a few years to sort yourself out, but then you came back and luckily you did. And that's when obviously we linked up and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Well, that could have left you with a bit of taste in your mouth and you never coming back and just telling everybody how bad it is, which, again, I'm not saying it's great bodybuilding, but it doesn't have to be bad.
If you do it the right way and you do it properly, and I think you do like the off season and the life stuff in between, you can make it last so much longer than just like killing yourself off in one show.
Yeah.
And I think there's like tips and stuff that you can do to make your reverse a bit easier as well. Like, for example, sorry, going off on a tangent. So what like really helps me is the first time you might have girls do this, I don't know, but maybe not because I didn't really know the first time I prepped, but I was like hoarding food.
Worst thing you can do.
Because you see stuff and you can't eat it and you're like, oh yeah, I'll have that after prep. And then you end up with loads of stuff in the house. Yeah. So what helps me is like having nothing in the house apart from the foods that are on my meal plan.
Yeah.
Which obviously it's easy for me because I'm just with Will. Whereas like for people that have families and kids, obviously you can't really do that. But
you still have to hoard.
Yeah, but if you can just have the food that's like on your plan, and then if you go out, you can have a nice meal or you can have a dessert or whatever.
People do mad shit like freeze birthday cakes. And
but even frozen stuff like...
But I've known people...
I've had this before.
Eating it frozen. Yeah. They don't even bother thawing it out. They're ragging it out of the fridge and chewing it frozen. Like,
this was me on my first prep.
Was it?
Yeah. Eating frozen cookie dough.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's how mad it can get.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as you just put everything into place that you can, make sure someone's leading you to give you the right advice. Ask them as well, because... not everyone's a mind reader. Like, ask them questions and implement everything you can. And I think, like, reversing after shows has come such a long way, man. Long way. Yeah. Like I said to you before, like, it was just used to be...
just do what you want.
Just chill. You just finish
enjoy your meals.
And like, they're on pizza and Chinese every night and they're blown up like a pig, and then they're absolutely miserable for a long time afterwards. It's come along, and that's what I'm trying to say with all of this. With all the pressure of being perfect and millimetre for gram of this and blah, blah, blah post-show, it's come a damn long way since that.
Yeah, because it's a lot more structured, isn't it, you're doing a lot better than that, then you're doing all right, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And like, just don't let people, because you'll only get the vocal few that want to show off about being perfect on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I lie in a lot of the time as well, I tell you.
Yeah.
Post-show, and you'll think, well, if I can't do it like that, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Dominoes, whatever, blah, blah,
exactly.
blah. But I promise you that's not the case. When I say I've dealt with hundreds of women, I mean hundreds of women of reverse show. I've seen, I don't know if there's anything else what I can see, but I'm sure
you've seen it all.
I'm sure there will be. I've seen every single thing you can possibly see post show.
Yeah.
But I probably haven't. There's probably some other mad shit that I'm going to see. But it's not what it's cut out to be on Instagram. It's not what it's probably cut out to be on podcasts and things like that when people are talking about it. Because no one wants to be like, oh, I fucked it.
I certainly ate 4,000 calories extra
today.
Sorry.
And also, on the opposite end of the scale, the vocal people on the other end who do go on a mad one and get depressed and can't like cope with it very well and all the rest of it, that's not the norm either. Do you know what I mean?
Most people are okay. Most people kind of mostly stick to the plan. They might have an extra meal one day. They might have a bit of chocolate that maybe wasn't on the plan one day or whatever.
I think 90% are sat in the middle.
Yeah, most
and then you get
people
5% either end of that. Some people who go absolutely mental, who will post it all over Instagram and put people off competing. Then the 5% who are like literally like robots and they don't fall off the plan, for which I do not, out of all them people, the percentage of that is extremely small, extremely small. Although I have Adam, everyone else is in the middle. So like just chill. Yeah. It's all good.
And I think a big tip with this is as well, is if you go out for a meal or you have a meal or you eat something that's more than what you're meant to eat, don't then try and pull it back and go and do extra cardio and start missing meals, because that's when it becomes a very slippery slope, because you're trying to settle your appetite. And if you're missing meals and trying to cut things out,
that leads to the restriction.
It's just going to end up in this horrible cycle. So if you end up going out and you end up eating more than you've planned, or you end up, I don't know.
Don't try and pull it back elsewhere.
No, just carry on eating meals.
Yeah.
Because then it's way less likely to happen again. That's like my number one tip.
I had that on a check-in this morning on the person who checked in like randomly, who wasn't meant to check in out of the blue, and said, I've done this at the weekend, but if I pull this back across Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it'll kind of I was like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just eat what you're meant to eat. It's all right, honestly.
I even do that with my lifestyle clients if they've like because I just think it just becomes a very slippery slope.
It's done. And then they'll start, because then I think then people start doing it like, well, I can have this and I can just remove.
Oh, it's dangerous.
No, don't do that.
No, just take the calories on the chin, because at the end of the day, like, it's one day. If you've eaten a bit of extra food, just accept it and just crack on.
Yeah. And like I say, it's all removable if it needs to be removed further down the line.
Yeah.
You're just trying to not gain an insane amount of unnecessary fat in a short space of time. That's the top and bottom of it. Yeah.
And also, like, if you're eating foods that are similar to what you've had all the way through your prep and you just add in more in, you're probably going to start feeling pretty satisfied.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, keeping the same structure.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll feel better,
You'll feel better pretty quick. Yeah. So it's just sticking out those first few weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, and just being mentally prepared for that as part of the prep, which I think a lot of people are doing nowadays.
Yeah, I think people are a lot more clued up now than they were.
I don't do it as much now, but I did always try and like frighten the shit out of the first timers and make it sound like, do you know like when someone tells you that the film that they've seen is the best film they've ever seen, and then you go and see it and it's a bit shit.
I get the analogy.
Because you built your expectations up so much. What I'd always do with first timers is build it up so much to make them so frightened of it for the last couple of weeks of the prep.
And then they're like, oh, this is fine, chilling.
That when it actually happens, it's nowhere near as bad as I told them. I used to do it on purpose, so that they'd have a bit of a better time with it.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Which I used to do, but that was a lot more when I worked in the gym, because I spent a lot more time with the actual people. But sometimes now, if I'm on a call with them after the show or whatever, I'll go, "This is going to be the worst experience of your life." I don't really say that, but I'll say this is 10 times worse than the prep, blah 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 blah, and like really psych them onto it, so when it happens, it's not as bad as what it seems when I've frightened them to death. Yeah, that was a little trick that I like playing with people.
Oh, lovely. Always good.
Yeah, but it was helpful. I think it was helpful. And then they say afterwards, "You said it was going to be so bad," and I'm like, "Yeah, I did that on purpose." And then they thanked me.
Yeah, that's that really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it for
Try not to cram too many socials in and holidays, because if you like...
Ooh, you've got all the good points today, you.
Honestly, I've been thinking of... Because I feel like I've thought about post-show quite a lot this time in terms of how I want to do it. Yeah. I feel like... Because I did this last
Yeah.
Last year, I was fine, but I went on holiday. But I think if I'd have done that 2 years before, it would have been a whole different story.
Yeah. If you're booking, try not to book too much stuff.
Yeah.
After the show. And I know it's hard because you've just gone through all that and all that sacrifice, and you've given them time away from your families and socialising and your friends and all the rest of it. But if you can try your hardest not to, because what people do is like, it's because it's dopamine for a minute. They book all the old plans with the friends and the family and spa days and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Or they'll book an the worst ones and all inclusive. And they do it, they don't tell me either. Some of them do it and they don't tell me. And they go, oh, did I tell you I'm offering all inclusive like the Thursday after the show? And I'm like, no, you didn't know.
Missed that minor point.
Oh yeah, we just booked it last week. I think, yeah, I bet you did. You didn't ask first because they know what I'll say.
Yeah.
It's just not good because you don't enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, because you're worried about gaining weight and stuff.
You blow up, like you get dinner ladies' ankles.
Yeah.
That always makes me laugh because when I did it once on the year, all my mates was ripping me because they couldn't see my ankles for the full week.
Oh God.
Dinner ladies' ankles, I got called for the full week. You don't enjoy it anyway because of that. So if you can wait until 3 weeks post show, if you can.
Yeah.
3 weeks. 3 weeks is a good amount of time. Your body's calmed a lot by then. And then, you're going to put on a bit of weight on holiday. And I'd never tell anybody to stick and plan on holiday.
Yeah.
But you'll feel a lot, you'll have a lot better time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Have a lot better time. And again, these are not blueprints, they're just guidelines.
Yeah. But if there's anything you want us to cover or talk about or topics, guests, anything.
Comments,
can we bring guests on?
Yeah, we can bring guests on, yeah.
Yes. Let us know when we can. I'm excited to get stuck into it a bit more now. I feel like I've got more mental bandwidth than like a fly.
Yeah. You've got some glucose in your brain now.
Although I do feel like I need a snack.
We'll see what we can rustle up.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.